Hey everybody, X Joey1X, and unfortunately, we're back behind the dryer. There will be links in the description following what happened prior, but today, and 2 or 3 days prior to today, is the dryer got so hot that the clothes were untouchable. You physically couldn't touch the clothes. And then the tube behind me, my tubes were so hot, you legit almost burned yourself. So off camera, prior to this, this blew again. And we found out that lint gets on this screw and it realizes that there's no airflow from the lint trap that stops here, goes into the fan and sends it out the tube. And when it gets accumulated, it says, whoa, 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 and it shuts it down. This part shuts down the motor, shuts down the heat. You just have a dead machine, and when you press the on and off, the timer just goes. All right, I pulled the machine out off camera. I swapped this out. I put the machine back. I tested it right here. It came out hot right here. I put the whole machine back. Then we continued our lives. Then my wife was like, hey, the sheets are really hot. I come downstairs. I'm like, whoa. I put it on 40 minutes. I put another round of clothes in. I come down. It's like at the 30-minute mark. I shut it. This whole dryer is hot to the touch. Like I said, the tube is so hot. It shouldn't be that way. And the clothes are burning. And that was 10 minutes. I gave Jay a buzz. Jay's like, yeah, sure, we'll come over. He was nice enough to look at some videos. He will touch upon what he found, and hopefully it will help you. We will show you what we did. And the conclusion was bench testing this off, literally on a bench, and mimicking how hot these could get. And we'll touch upon that later. But I'm going to go and swap seats, and the mad scientist is going to tell you what happened.
Mad scientist here. Okay, since the last failure of this, I have gotten a much better understanding of the circuitry and how everything works and that. Bottom line here is there are a total of 4 sensors in the back of this dryer. To cut to the chase, without anything else, if you're having a problem where you're not getting heat, they now sell kits, like on Amazon, that include all of the sensors, just shotgun everything. Throw the parts cabinet at it. It's only a couple of screws and wires. Just change all of them. That'll get your dryer up and running again. And then, a little later, we could show you how you can test them to find out which parts are still good. You can meter them, but sometimes the meter doesn't even tell you that there's a problem. So, down here, up here, and 2 down here. This is an electric dryer. Heating element is right in this box. This is called a high limit thermostat. So that senses when this heating element gets to, okay, it's going to explode and catch fire, it shuts off before that happens. Up here is a thermal cutout, which means that if this kind of doesn't do its job and it gets too hot up here, this will cut out and prevent heat. This white thing is a thermal fuse, and that is like the oh shit handle in a car. Okay, you hold on to that in the event of a rollover, and hopefully you don't die. That prevents your house from burning down, so you never jump that out. And that's also why that's a one-time use. When that blows, it's gone, and that's it. The rest of these 3 cycle. They turn on, turn off, depending on temperature. And this last one was the cycling. The operating one, yeah.
Yes.
And basically what that means, they use strange words for this stuff that are kind of ambiguous in their wording. Operating means that one keeps it within the operating temperature. In other words, think of the temperature gauge on your car. It gets up to where it gets up to normally, And as long as everything is good with the car, it doesn't really go anywhere from there. It kind of just stays there and that's it. And of course, when it's cold, it's at cold until it gets up to where it goes. So that's the operating. So it keeps it within the operating parameters of it should only get this hot and it'll dry your clothes in 40 to 60 minutes or anything like that. So the problem we had this time was an overheating dryer. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't this high limit thing cut out? Yeah, it should. What about the thermal fuse? Shouldn't that cut out? Yeah, it should. But let's go with the temperature gauge on the car. Let's say it's 115 degrees this particular day, and it normally sits smack in the middle. So if you're driving and you have the AC on because you need it, and you're sitting in traffic, and that needle moves up to about there, you're still within spec because you're not in the red. You're not overheating. Hotter than normal, but not overheating. And that's what was happening. It was getting much hotter than normal, but not overheating where the rest of the ones will cut out. So what we had, normally what you do is, like, take this one for example, just because it's right here. There's two wires. You pull them off, get a meter, set it to continuity or ohms, a little horseshoe guy, and put it on there. If it's got a beeper, it should beep. And it will show something other than just a line or OL out of limits. You'll get some sort of reading, or it'll beep to let you know that it has continuity. Current or voltage or whatever, electricity can get through it. These can fail in a couple of ways. They can fail where the sensor itself, like, internally breaks apart. You can't see it because it's inside of it. And that will be no connection. And when that happens, you get no heat at all. But normally it has continuity, which means it allows electricity to go through, turn the heating element on, and let it do what it normally does. But what if it gets too hot and it doesn't cut out? It still is going to allow voltage to go through. And that's why there are a total of 4. So if one fails, eventually another one is a fail-safe, and then another one is a fail-safe. Joe kind of just shook his head like, yeah, that didn't really happen. It did, because otherwise we wouldn't be in this house right now.
Right.
Okay, it could have burned down. It definitely would be possible. So that's why there's so many. So, like I said in the beginning, if you have a failure where you have no heat, just throw the parts cannon. Change all 4 of the sensors. Again, this is for an electric dryer. Gas has a couple of extra other things, but for an electric dryer, just change all the sensors. They're cheap enough. For $20, you can get your dryer fixed with a nut driver. Okay, you can do this. There's nothing to it. And you don't even need a meter or anything. Just shotgun it. Change all the parts. Turn it on. You got heat. It's fixed. Done. Now, I'm going to show you how you can test for it. Here is the high limit thermostat that was in the dryer. This is a more elaborate setup. You don't need anything that fancy, but you don't want to be holding this with a pair of pliers because you're going to be using a heat gun. You need a heat gun, something to hold this, and a multimeter, and we have this one here. So what we did, because this just has regular probes at the end, is we have these little alligator clip wires. I don't care if you just wrap a piece of speaker wire around it and then put it through the hole on here. Just get a connection. It doesn't matter. If we do that and we connect to the terminals here, is that shorting to that? There we go. That says that electricity is flowing through. The meter is reading 3. It doesn't matter what it reads. If yours has a beeper, it should beep if that's turned on. But it'll say that it's allowing voltage through. So the problem now is that's what it normally does just sitting here at room temperature. It's supposed to allow that through. Eventually it heats up. How do you know it actually cuts out when it gets up to temperature? That is when you put it in your apparatus as such, whatever you want. You connect the wires up to it and then put your meter on, and it'll beep constantly. You then take your heat gun and start, after your meter falls, start heating this. This can take 5 minutes, 6, 7 minutes. You want this to be way hotter than you can possibly even touch. And that's why I said a pair of pliers. You're going to get a little toasty. Don't do that. Get something that'll hold it. Put it on a piece of plywood. I don't care. Just don't hold it. And eventually the meter should read either OL out of limits or just a line, some of them do. And that'll do it. And that means that this cut out like it's supposed to. Let it cool so you can touch it. You can leave the meter connected. And if it doesn't automatically go back to operating properly, stick it in the freezer 5-10 minutes. Then retest it. If it's still not doing it, then it failed the other way. So we had a problem with not this particular one, because we actually haven't proven this one to be bad yet. But it did have continuity, as you saw. We heated this before, but we may not have heated it long enough. The other one, this one, is what failed.
Operating.
The operating thermostat in this case. This has 4 connections. You're interested in the big ones, not the little ones. Don't worry about the little ones for the purposes of this video. Just the big ones, okay? And what happened was, when you connect, and in fact, this is the bad one, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So we can hook that up quickly.
It's reading that it's working.
It's reading that it's good. But if you go to heat it, this thing keeps beeping.
It didn't trip, so it actually failed in the open position.
It failed. Actually, it's in the closed position.
A closed position.
Meaning that the circuit is still closed. Closed means
it's flowing. The
flowing.
switch is on. Right. It's not. It did its job, but it didn't do its job.
So this stays on until it gets too hot and then cuts out. And it was not cutting out.
And my dryer was getting really, really hot to the point where, okay, there's something wrong in the back. Off camera, we're going to look at the airflow. But
yes, that is the first thing that you were supposed to test, but we're doing it backwards because that's how we do things here on the X081X channel.
Yes, and we also know that 99.9% my flow is good.
It's linoleum, but it's good.
Right. Okay, so I think we're at the point where we're good.
You have a general idea. I think what we should do, just for fun, is let's pause the video. We're going to retest this and see if it also happened to fail or not. I don't know if you can hear the meter over the heat gun, but it's beeping, it's on, it's connected, everything's good, and we're heating it with the heat gun. And after 5 to 6, 7, maybe even 10 minutes, depending on how powerful, don't think you can get away with a hairdryer for some of these. They won't get hot enough. You need a heat gun like that. And you could actually see how hot that heat gun gets. What was it, 400C? Or something? I can't read it. 600C? Right there.
601C.
601C. So quick guess, double that, 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. Your hair dryer will burn your hair off. So it doesn't get hot enough. You need a heat gun for that. And we're going to heat gun this. We're still reading. So this may have also failed in the way that you can't tell just by metering. Here's an infrared meter. And if we pointed at it, yeah, only 150-ish maybe. So that's got some time to cook yet. This could be, I think this is rated at 355.
That was the problem. We don't know if that's accurate, but it's a 352.
352, so it's got a while to cook.
Well, It's at 110, 157, so...
We don't know exactly how accurate. The batteries in that may not be
But we're
quite up to snuff.
It clicked, so it stays in service.
We know the part is good because now it is not reading continuity. It is way too hot to touch.
And that's how hot the tube was.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so let this cool so you can handle it. Then you may have to put it in the freezer for 5-10 minutes and retest it and see if it beeps again. And if it does, then you know the part is good because you have now run a full operating test on it as if it would be in the dryer. We heated it just by another means.
Yep. But for us, I have multiple, and it'll probably go back to working, so that's going to conclude another dryer video. All right, so we're going to go out, and we're going to take a look at these pipes. Jay bought a camera. I have a light. You really can't see. See? You can see the elbow, and look at these walls. Clean as a whistle as far as a little dust, but there's probably no blockage. So we're going to wrap this up. We might throw the video of the, what do you call it in there if I have time? Endoscope. It's definitely going to work because we put the right parts back. So hit like, hit subscribe, go down to the description part, and there'll be links in all these videos, especially the last one that really started this. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to replace this off camera because Jay says that it got so hot that when I referenced my last video, look what happened. I got no heaven. It definitely started. Look at that. There's no reason why that should be bubbled. And then if you hear it, it's crunchy. So we're going to lop that off. I'm going to put a brand new one on and call it a day.
And that, yeah. I don't know if I just...
No, keep going.
Okay, yeah. That may have happened because the other thing kept the heating element on.
Yes.
The rest didn't sense it got too hot, but the clothes were burning hot. Everything else, you smelled it, the whole nine. You knew there were signs of danger.
Right.
But it got so hot because it was on for so long.
And it wasn't on for hours. I set it for like 40, give or take 35, so...
That it just got that way. Plus, this thing is 30, 40 years old at this point.
Yeah. So hit like, hit subscribe. And thank you for watching.